What's going on, everyone? Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the video. Today we have yet another draft for you. I'm getting closer to my final draft, the final draft of preseason. Some of these players are sticking a little bit, some of them are not, most of them are not, but let's just get into it. Henderson's in goal. He has some okay fixtures. It's mainly, this could be any 4.5 goalkeeper. I'm just going with Henderson right now because I really like Crystal Palace, what they offer and how they look in, at the end of last season. They look really good. Valdemar on the bench, 4.0 keeper. Could be any 4.0 keeper. I'm just going to keep him there. Possibly throughout the season. No, probably not. The defense, Guardiola, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Lewis Hall are all starting for me in the first game. I really like the fixtures. Guardiola against Chelsea is maybe a bit iffy. But I think when Rodri is back in the team, because you saw Man City in the Community Shield, they didn't look settled. They had like 4 or at least 3 youngsters in the team. And once Rodri's back in, once Foden's back in, and Bernardo Silva starts, and they get Doku, Grealish, I think it's Salvinho, once they get those guys kicking and rolling the ball properly, then they're gonna, I think, just turn into the Man City of old. Probably not as good, but still a level above most teams in the league. So I think Guardiola's gonna stay in my team. Trent is in there because I just love Trent Alexander-Arnold as a player. I think he could be on some corners, free kicks. It looks like he's going to be a more natural right back in his old role before he started going back into the midfield for Liverpool. Kind of a hybrid of those two, possibly sometimes inverting into midfield, sometimes just overlapping Salah, and that looks fantastic. I think Trent, for 7 million, he looks really good. He is the key, him or Guardiola, one of them is the key for me to kind of spread the cash a little bit, and I can show you guys a little later how that looked. Lewis Hall is in there. I think it's Lewis Hall. Yeah, it's Lewis Hall. Sorry about that. Southampton, Bournemouth, Spurs and Wolves. Okay fixture list. I can start him in the first 2, bench him for Spurs, and then start him against Wolves if I wanted to. I just think he is a very attacking player. I think he scored or assisted some goals in the preseason. Seems to have nailed down that left back spot for now. Of course, there's always rotation risk with Byrne and I want to say Kelly from Bournemouth, who they signed. But yeah, he's not nailed 100%, but right now he is expected to start in the left back spot, so I'm quite comfortable with him in defense. Diogo Jota, Saka, Bob and Smith Rowe, they're starting in midfield for me. Jota is there, kind of, you think like, oh, he's covering Salah. A bit, yeah. I'm trying to cover Salah. Obviously, I want a piece of the Liverpool pie. But also, I think Diogo Jota is going to start as the number 9 for Liverpool. And I spoke about it earlier in earlier videos, how the number 9 could be key for me. I was thinking about going Cody Gakpo or whatever, but because Diogo Jota has been starting 9 preseason, he's been doing very well. He scored a goal. I think he assisted another one, had the pre-assist for the third one. He's very involved. If he can stay fit, we know what he can do. He can be a super good fantasy asset. So he is in. Bukayo Saka is in as well. He didn't have the best game yesterday against Lyon, but he's slowly starting to build up his minutes. I expect him to start in game week 1. Arteta has given all indications that he will start him. He is on penalties for Arsenal as far as we know. And yesterday against Lyon, they had actually kind of a new tweak in Saka's positioning and stuff. He was going onto the far post and trying to get the header in. So they attempted that like 3 or 4 times in the game, and it looks like that might be a new weapon in his arsenal, pun intended. And I love Arsenal. I love Saka. So having no Salah in this draft allows Saka to be in this draft with the big front 3 and all that stuff. But yeah, let's keep going. Bob is in there. Now, you might think, why are you succumbing to this Bob hype? The thing is, I put Bob in before the Community Shield, and I watched the Community Shield, intently watching Bob, thinking, if I like what I see, I'll keep him in my team. And right now, I'm keeping him in my team because I like what I saw. I think he'll start against Chelsea, and as long as he doesn't have a howler of a game, I think he'll start against Ipswich. Even if Foden is back, I think Bob might have that right wing, and we might see Foden play like more central. So I'm liking the look of Bob in like the City attack. He can become Rodgers or a 4.5 midfielder, or, as I will discuss later, a lot higher if he doesn't work out. Smith Rowe's there as well. He scored 2 goals in 2 games for Fulham in pre-season, looked really good. Fulham fans think he'll start in the 10. I do think I agree with them. You don't put your record signing on the bench, in my opinion. And yeah, they signed him for a reason. They saw something in him. Me as an Arsenal fan, I've seen something in him. I absolutely love Emil Smith Rowe. So keeping him there for 5.5, I think it's going to be huge value, especially with Fulham's fixtures. If you look at Fulham's fixtures, they got Man United away. Yeah, it's tricky, but I can bench him for that, or I can play him. Leicester at home, Ipswich away, West Ham at home, Newcastle at home, Forest away. I mean, the first 6 fixtures, yes, it's a mixed bag, but Leicester and Ipswich could be huge. And if he doesn't work out by then, you can just sell him. Then in attack, we have Dominic Solanke, who I think is going to be really good for Tottenham. I think he's going to be a good fit for the team. We have Erling Haaland, obviously, and we have Alexander Isak, who I think I might captain game week 1. Now, Isak finished last season very strongly. He's a really good player. He's a world-class striker, in my opinion. And he's on penalties for Newcastle as far as I'm concerned and as far as I know. So he's just in. It's been in all of my drafts. Haaland, I don't think I can go without him for Ipswich at home. So again, we don't know what Ipswich is going to look like. Maybe Haaland won't do that well. But again, you can captain him for Ipswich. You can captain him for West Ham. You can captain him for Brentford. You could go different in number 3. I don't think West Ham this season is a 2. I think there are 3 on this fixture difficulty scale. But you can just see how you can just kind of captain him. And after game week 4, before the Arsenal game, you could possibly take a punt, because a lot of people are going to want a wild card after game week 4. I'm thinking 7 or 8. So if I do decide to wild card 7 or 8, I can sell Erling Haaland for Arsenal and Newcastle, spread that fund, and get Bob up to basically any midfielder I want, depending on how low I go with Haaland. I could get Watkins in. I could go even lower and go Havertz. I could go Muniz, João Pedro, and then Bob could become Salah. So suddenly Salah's in my team, and he has the fixtures of Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth, both at home. So again, I could skip the Man United fixture, Brentford and Ipswich, just keep that Liverpool spot open, and Bob becomes Salah. So if you're keeping up with that, that's fine. I'll just maybe go into that in more detail in another video or later in this video. Solanke, I think he's going to be really good for Spurs. He could have penalties, and honestly, he's just a really good player. I think it's a good purchase from Spurs. A lot of money, 65 million. But again, I think he's just going to be that number 9 for Spurs, and they don't have Champions League football. Might be able to rotate a bit more in Europe, so I think he is going to be a really good asset. On the bench, I've got Nkunku. He will play most weeks in this team. It's either him against Man City or Smith Rowe against Man United. Right now I'm leaning Smith Rowe because I think Man City is a lot better, obviously. And Nkunku could play 9, 10, possibly 8. I've seen. I don't know about the 8 thing, but he could play left wing. So, and with Pedro Neto there, I can see some crosses coming into the box from Neto and Nkunku hammering it in or tapping it in or whatever. So I like him as an option at 6.5. Robinson, he's there because he rotates quite well with Hall, he rotates with Guardiola, he rotates with Trent. He is an attacking player, exciting pick that I like to have in my team. And then Barco, the Brighton fans like As, who has FPL black boxed with Mark, he says Barco is not a 4.0 defender. He is in FPL, but he's playing like he might be like a 5.0 defender because he has corners and looks pretty nailed to start the season. He's looked really good in preseason, and yeah. So you should all have Barco in your teams according to the Brighton fans and most FPL experts. But yeah, this is the team. I really like it. I'll show you guys now how it looks in Fantasy Football Hub, Rate My Team tool. So this is how it looks in game week 1. Obviously, let's set that to predicted game week 1. This is what it looks like. This is the kind of optimized team by the computer. Game week 2 will look like this if we just optimize the team. So we've optimized the team. It wants me to play 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 3 forwards. I don't know why it's benching Hall for Bournemouth and playing Barco against Man United, but that is just the computer's fault. And then Diogo Jota against Brentford. I think he's going to fix that a bit. If Jota bangs against Ipswich, he's obviously going to be in this team. But yeah, the only thing I don't like about this draft, or at least the biggest thing, you're benching Bob against Ipswich and Jota against Brentford, and yet you can't really say that the computer's got it completely wrong here, because you got Aston Villa away for Saka. You're not going to bench Saka, I don't think. Wolves away from Nkunku, Leicester at home for Smith Rowe, Everton at home for Solanke, Bournemouth away for Isak, and then Ipswich at home for Haaland. You're obviously, these are all really good fixtures. So you're benching really 2 good fixtures. So anyway you play it, you're going to be benching a good fixture. You're going to have to be ready for that if you're going with this team. And that's the biggest thing I don't like about it. Game week 3, and again, we haven't made a transfer, so we're just keeping on rolling the transfer. We can roll up to 5, as you remember. So Jota's there on the bench, Bob's still on the bench. You kind of have to ignore that for now. It's going to fix itself if game week 1 goes as I think it's going to go. But again, you have pretty decent fixtures. You could bench Isak against Tottenham. I wouldn't recommend it because that high line might be ideal for him. But Lewis Hall against Tottenham, I would probably bench him for Jota. And I expect Bob to possibly have lost his place at this point. But this is the point where you might possibly just dump Haaland and get Salah in. Or maybe next week you do that. So game week 4, if we optimize the team, and if we just transfer out Erling Haaland, let's say to Ollie Watkins for Everton, then you could go Bob all the way to an 11 million. So if we don't go Watkins because we want to get Mo Salah in for Bob, let's say we did João Pedro, who has Ipswich at home, and then you do Bob out for Mo Salah. Make the transfers, optimize the team, and suddenly Salah's in, Pedro's in, your team looks a lot better, 92% team rating in this time, and you use 2 free transfers. So I don't know how to count these. I think we had 4, so we're probably going to have 2 after we've done those transfers. But you can see the team looks really, really nice for this game week. And then game week 5, optimize the team again. Again, looks very nice. There are not a lot of bad fixtures in this. You could play Hall against Fulham instead of Guardiola against Arsenal. You could play Diogo Jota instead of Smith Rowe against Newcastle, or Saka against Manchester City. Whatever way you want to play. But yeah, it rotates fairly nicely. You can use that transfer plan to get Salah in instead of Haaland. Once you've seen like the dust kind of settle, who is nailed, who's not, how does Bob look, and that is why I allow myself the Bob pick, because I'm more than capable of stepping out of that Bob position by removing Haaland or Saka or whoever doesn't perform for me, or I think I have a chance of moving on to another bandwagon. So I do like this team from that perspective. If I remove Trent, I'd probably spread that money around the defense a bit more. I'd probably get Raya and goal instead of Henderson. I'd probably upgrade Hall to Munoz from Palace to have that Palace defensive cover. But all in all, I do really like this team. I hope you guys did too. If you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe and help me grow the community. I will see you next time. Goodbye.